Hey everyone, welcome back to Coded Row. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this circular progress bar just as a material instance. So in case you don't have one and you want circular bars in your game, this is how you go about it. So the first thing we're going to do is head over to the content browser, right click and create a material. And I'm going to call this M underscore round progress bar. And now I'm just going to double click to open up this blueprint editor or material editor in this case. And the first thing I want to do is just set our material domain to user interface because this is really meant to be used as a UI type thing. And I'm going to set the blend mode to translucent because we're going to have to add some opacity into the center and the outsides to make it that circular looking bar. So what I'm going to be doing first is just hold 1 to create a constant, or you can right click and search for constant. And I'll set the value to 1 and plug this into final color so you can see that our material preview is just a solid white square. And this is exactly what we're just trying to shave off the corners and the inside to make it a solid round material. And now what I'm going to be doing is down here, I'm going to add 2 radial gradient exponentials. So one top, one bottom. And for our radius and density, what we need to do is assign so for these 2 nodes, we just need to assign the radius and the density. So I'm going to add 2 more constants. So one will be the radius will be a value of 0.5 and the density will be a value of 60. And plug that into the density node. And now what we need to do is actually just subtract these 2 values and plug them into our, and now what we need to do is just add a subtract node, which is going to subtract the value of this 0.5 as A. And for B, we're going to create a parameter. So I'm going to hold 1 on my keyboard and left click and right click this node and convert to a parameter. And I'm going to call this something like thickness, which is going to represent the line that we are creating, and plug this into the B node and set the default value to something like 0.1. And now I'll plug this subtract into the actual radius itself. And now for our value over here, where we assign 60 to density, we also want to assign that density down here to the second node. And we're going to subtract these two radial gradient nodes and plug it into the opacity. And now you'll see that we have this solid looking circle. And if I were to do something like set this value to 1 over here, you're going to see it's really blurry, really misty. 5 is kind of like a faded out ring. And if I were to set it to something like 2000, it's going to look pretty jittery, as you can see on the corners, because it looks like it's just trying too hard. So we're going to set it back to 60. And the value itself, if I were to do something like 1, it all goes away. 0, it all goes away. 0.1 shows a ring. 0.2 is that ring double size. 0.3, 0.4, and so on. So we'll set it to 0.1 because this is the circular progress bar that we're looking for. So I'm going to move this down here and put this one up here. And now we want to actually configure our opacity so we can manipulate this circular part. Because if you're adding this to your UI, you want to be able to just tip away HP, use it as a mana bar, stamina bar, and so on. So in order to do that, we're going to add a texture coordinate, and plug this into a custom rotator, which is basically just going to tell us which way the circle is going to go. So for the rotation angle, I'm going to set a value of 0.25 by adding a constant. Hold 1 on the keyboard, left click, or right click and add a constant. And now this custom rotator is going to plug into a subtract because we actually want to subtract this by half the value itself. So I'm going to hold 1 and set a value of 0.5 down here, just like that. And we're going to multiply it with a vector, a constant 2. So holding 2 on the keyboard or just looking for a constant 2 vector, we're going to set the direction of which way this circle should basically go away or come back. So for the x axis, we're going to do 1, and for the y, we're going to do -1. And now after this, we're going to get the vector to radial value just to convert this into the angle of the circle in the radial coordinates that it's going to basically shape our circle of. And now we're just going to add this node and floor it. We just want to floor it. And we want to actually add this with a %, which is going to be a parameter. So I'm going to move this back because I need some more space. And for the B node, I'm going to hold 1 on my keyboard and left click to create a constant 1 and convert this to a parameter because we need to manipulate this parameter in our UI. And I'm going to call this %. And the default value of this will be 1. And I'll show you why. So I'll connect the 1 to the B node. And after the floor, we're going to connect it to a multiply. And we're just going to multiply this, subtract basically everything down here to this. And if you guys don't know, multiply in materials really just kind of means adding it together or adding the functionalities together for the most part. And it really does help us. So for example, you'll see that this subtract was already giving us that perfect opacity. And if we multiply this by everything that's happening back here and connect this to the opacity, it still looks the same. But in actuality, that A is actually this entire part up here is actually just a function that's going to tell us which way our circle will rotate. And as you can see in this percent parameter that we're going to manipulate later, if I set it to 0.5, it's going to get rid of half the circle. If I set 2.8, there's 80%. 0, it's all gone, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and so on. So I'll leave the default value as 1. And now what you want to do is just right click on this material and create a material instance and just call this round progress bar inst and create an instance of it. And what you want to also do is under parameter groups, open up this global scalar parameter values and make sure that percent is checked. This will allow you to bring that percent parameter into the UI so you can essentially configure this and rotate this and set this as an HP bar, mana bar, stamina bar, and so on. And that's pretty much how you just create a simple round progress bar without having to go to the marketplace and buying it yourself. Thanks for watching Code with Ro. Feel free to see how this is in action in my Ascend Combat Framework circular HP bar tutorial. I'll leave that link in the description below if you want to actually see this in use. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment below what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.